What's up? I'm back with another video. Shout out to my brother Al, who has been asking me to put together some DPS builds. Like I said, I really birthed this channel out of helping my homeboys and my brothers learn how to build their builds. But this thing is taking off, and I'm grateful and I'm thankful for everybody who, has found advice from me, gotten advice from me, commented, supported the channel, subscribed. I'm forever grateful. Thank you so much. As you can see, I'm talking fast because I'm just excited and my mind is blown. But I want to appreciate you guys and tell you guys thank you. Today, I want to talk about one of the most OP damage builds on this game. This build slaps. Oh my goodness, I'm excited to share this build with you. This is the Hunter's Fury build, and I have built this build in 2 different ways, and so I'm going to have to split these videos up into part 1 and part 2. I seen that once I started editing the video, that video was over 30 minutes, and I don't want to take up too much of you guys' time. I don't believe that that's fair to you guys, so I'm going to do a part 1, and then I will do a part 2 and show you how to strategically build this build 2 different ways. Both ways are highly effective. There are pros and cons to running it each way. And as I look at it, I don't really think that there's any cons, but it's definitely benefits to running it either way. So let's get into today's video. There are 2 different ways you can run this build as far as specializations. You can either go the gunner route or you can go the firewall route. Let's go the gunner route first. I'm gonna show you guys what makes this build ridiculous while using gunner. So you see that talent right there, incessant, you killing enemies grants you 10% armor. There's also, you get every 3rd reload, you get a 50% faster reload on every 3rd one. You also get an armor kit that repairs 100% armor and grants you 30% bonus armor for 10 seconds. But this is what helps it really stand out, the Banshee Pulse. The Banshee Pulse is ridiculous. It has the ability to freeze not only players, but NPCs and stop them in their track. I won't get into the entire build. Let's get into some gameplay. But you see this chest piece right here, oh my goodness. That's the key. But don't fret. If you do not have this exotic chest piece, there are other chest pieces that you can use, and there is a talent that you can use. And as a matter of fact, I'll show you that talent before we get into some gameplay. So if you do not have the exotic Ridgeway's Pride chest piece, this is the talent that you want to put on, and I'll give you a breakdown, of all the other chest pieces that could, potentially help your build. But the talent that you want is Trauma. Applies blind to an enemy you hit in the head and cool down for 30 seconds, or the most important part, you apply bleed to an enemy you hit in the chest. That's the talent you want to have if you do not have the exotic Ridgeway's Pride chest piece. Let's run up on this rescue convoy. As you can see, it's on heroic. I have all 5 directives on at the top of the screen. You can see that they're coming down the street right now. I'm going to show you how the Banshee Pulse, oh, here's some NPCs too right here. So, see that symbol pop up over their head? Look at that, wasted. So if I want to hit him with the Banshee Pulse, I gotta wait, it's on cooldown. I got all these directives on. Well, there's this territory control standing in the middle of us in this rescue convoy, so let's just get it. Crack that. Cooked. Watch my right side over there. Go over here and get this gold grenader. He bleeding. I can put my shield down, bring it back. He bleeding. As he's bleeding, I get health. That's the cool thing about this build. He about to take my shield down. LMG, let's do that. Got him, he's bleeding. Next group is about to come in. Let me get in cover real quick until my shield comes back. Actually, I'm gonna hit him with the Banshee Pulse so y'all can see it. See that? Completely stunned him, dropped him, my shield's back. Now, I would have my Banshee Pulse back faster if I didn't have on all 5 directives. So Just trying to increase my XP, grind, get my clan to level 30. I was in another clan with my homeboys that I've been gaming with for years. Branched off and started my own clan. You know, let them know that I was leaving, of course. Didn't just up and leave, so it wasn't like I was on no hot stuff, but grab the key and we are done. Get this extra XP. See, do we need that? We don't need neither one of those. Let's deconstruct that. Yep, see, I'll take that 329,000 XP. Okay, not that much gameplay today. I would probably go down to the range to show you guys a little bit more, but I really want to get into this build and spend the majority of the time explaining this build. Now, what sets the gunner specialization apart also from the firewall is you have a talent on it called supply line, where you generate 10% of your total ammo capacity every 60 seconds. So even if I have a directive on, or if you have a directive on like Pistolier, you can still get ammo, or you can do it the traditional way of killing NPCs with your skills or your pistol to get your ammo filled up. Now, before I get into the build, I want to show you guys, remember I said, if you do not have that Ridgeway's Pride chest piece, you can use other chest pieces, and you just have to see if you can put the talent trauma on there. So however you want your build built, you can either, you know, if you have weapon damage as your core attribute, or if you want to have armor up there, say you should always have at least, like, you know, 2 pieces of armor if you're building a DPS build. So you would have say something like this: 15% weapon damage. You want the critical hit chance on there. You want the critical hit damage. But instead of intimidate being on this sackcloth piece, you would have trauma. Another piece you can use would be the Seska. So same principle, instead of unbreakable on there, you would have trauma on there, because having on 1 piece of Seska automatically gets you an extra 10% crit hit chance. And then having on 1 piece of sackcloth automatically gets you SMG damage, which with this build, you really want to run SMGs. You can run ARs, but this build is really catered towards being up close and personal. Now, if you have the ability to use an AR like an SMG, have fun. Like I said, this is all subjective and it's really catered to your play style. The Grupo Sombra, if you want to run this, you can also run this, and you just have to put trauma on there. You see it comes, by you having that 1 piece on, it automatically comes with 15% crit hit damage. And I will show you how your crit hit damage and your crit hit chance, you see how the ammo just popped up by me having the gunner specialization on. Let's get into the way I have this build constructed. If the sun sets on us, if we lose lighting, I will go back inside. It looks like the sun is starting to set, which I love the detail in this game. So we already talked about, you know, how I told you guys I have fun with naming my loadouts. So the name of this loadout is called Bleeding Fury. That's the name of it. Have the gunner specialization. I'm running it specifically with the gunner specialization. Remember, you can also run this firewall different route. I am running the SIG MPX. You see my total damage. Base damage is 110.7K. The rounds are 850 rounds per minute. I got a 40 round mag. You see my SMG damage is maxed out. I can get my crit hit chance a little bit higher. It's almost maxed out. It's at 19%. Damage to target out of cover is the best in-slot attribute that you can have on a gun. And then look at that talent. That talent, Sadist. So you get an additional 20% weapon damage to bleeding enemies. After 4 kills, that applies, you apply bleed on your next enemy hit. That is key with this Hunter's Fury Ridgeway's Pride build, which I call Bleeding Fury. Why do I call it Bleeding Fury? Before I go into the other guns, let's look at the chest piece. This is the highlight of the build. Remember, you can swap this out if you don't have this, because this chest piece is highly hard to get. You have to do a ton to get it. Thank God I was able to go ahead and, grind, and I got it. And actually I have 2 of them. I have one on this character, one on my first character. I do not have one on my third character yet. So you see my weapon damage is maxed out at 15%. Crit hit damage could be a little higher. It's at 5.6. The max is at 6. My crit hit damage at 11.5. I can get that maxed out at 12. Then I got 11.6 crit hit damage mod on. Mod on there. Excuse me. Look at the talent though. Bleeding Edge. Shooting enemies within 15 meters. This is why I talked about SMGs being important. Or you can use the AR. If you use the AR close range, hey, have at it. I like the SMGs better than the AR. I'm more better with the AR at long range than I am up close and personal. Bleeding Edge. Shooting enemies within 15 meters applies bleed to a target. Repairs 3 to 48% of your armor per second for every enemy that is bleeding within 15 meters. Repair strength per numbers of the bleeding enemy. So if you have one person bleeding, you get 3%, armor per second. If you have 2 people bleeding, 6%, 3 people, 12%, 4 people, 24%, 5 people or 5 NPCs, I should say, you have 48% armor per second that you will be getting back just because they're bleeding. That's why when you saw that earlier when I was shooting those NPCs, now granted, most cases you end up killing them faster than they'll reap the benefit of it. But if you ever need to, shoot 5 NPCs within 15 meters, get in cover, and then reap the benefits of that health. That's the highlight of this build. Like I said earlier, you can use any other chest piece that you need to that has trauma on it. Sun started setting on us, so I came inside for optimum lighting. Okay, so we went through the first gun. Here is my second gun. I use the Dark Winter. I switched in between 2 NPCs. Not 2 NPCs, excuse me. I switched in between 2 SMGs because of the talent, Perfect Killer on the Dark Winter, which is the name vector. Killing an enemy with a critical hit grants 50% critical hit damage for 10 seconds. That is major. Now, again, this is all subjective. There are other guns that you could run with this, other SMGs. If you wanted to run the Lady Death with, breathe free on it, you can run that. If you wanted to run, I have another SMG that I swap out with, the CMMG Banshee. But you see, my total base damage is 104K, but I'm gaining an additional 50 RPMs as compared to the SIG. So do you want more RPMs or do you want more damage? They kind of balance out. So do you want to shoot faster, shoot slower, have more damage, shoot faster, have not as much damage? But if you're pumping out those rounds, and if you notice, I have an extra 2 bullets in this clip than I do in my SIG. So it kind of balances out, but you see that talent on there, Sadist. That's the key, Sadist. I'm automatically getting an additional 20% weapon damage to bleeding enemies. Now, what do you say somebody is running a lot of hazard protection? That will definitely affect your bleed, but it will not affect your damage. So yes, you could potentially lose out on that 20% extra damage to bleeding enemies, but your base damage is still going to be what it's going to be. 104.4K damage at a base with that CMMG Banshee. The Dark Winter, of course, is going to be lower because look at those RPMs, 1200. That's the fastest gun on the game, 1200 RPMs. And then I got a 45 round mag. And you see I got SMG damage, 14.1. So these can all be better. I do have my damage to target. Yeah, damage to targets out of cover maxed out. So if I get into a fight with a player or even an NPC and I feel like they're shooting faster than me, then I have options that I can switch out to. That's the key. Now let's get into, pistol doesn't really matter. This is the shield that I talked about earlier. This is the Crusader shield. So you see on that Crusader shield, my cooldown is 18.2 seconds, 2.7 million, might as well say 2.8 million health. And then my active regen, you see what those numbers are. And tier 3, so on a 30% active regeneration, 100% shield health, 15% holstered regeneration. If you go into this one, this is the one that you would get with the specialization, the firewall specialization. But as you can see, it's locked right now, so you won't be able to Look at that. Say this doesn't work out for you. You want to use different skills. That's perfectly fine. Again, this is all subjective. Now let's get into the Hunter Fury pieces. What are they and why do they work so well with the Ridgeway's Pride? Let's look at it. 2 pieces gives you shotgun damage, 15%, extra 15% shotgun damage. And then look at that, extra 15% SMG damage. That's why I like running SMGs with this build. I can get up close and personal. So if I can get them bleeding, I'm getting an extra 20% from Sadist, but I'm also getting an extra 15% SMG damage. So basically, my SMG is hitting for 30% extra 30% damage, because if I have a gun where my weapon damage is maxed out, then I'm getting that. Or if I run that SMG piece, one of the SMG chest pieces I told you that gives you that extra damage, you've increased your damage even more. 3 pieces, armor, you get 20% armor on kill, 100% health on kill. So the more enemies, the more people, the more NPCs you kill, the more armor, the more health you are going to get. So you always have that active regeneration of your health going as long as you're killing. That's what makes this build like exceptionally well. Then the 4th piece, Apex Predator. Enemies within 15 meters receive a debuff, amplifying your weapon damage against them by 20%. So because I'm running an SMG, I have an extra 15% weapon damage. Sadist, an additional 20% damage to bleeding targets. And then because I'm in 15 meters, I'm getting an additional 20% weapon damage against them. Killing a debuff enemy with your weapon disorients other enemies within 5 meters and amplifies weapon damage by 5% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. That means you can not only get that 20% weapon damage, you can, by you killing a debuff enemy with your weapon, it's going to disorient all of the other enemies within 5 meters, and that's going to amplify your damage by 5% for 10 seconds, which is going to give you an additional 25% damage, weapon damage. How crazy is that? So you already got the 20, you get an additional 25, you're at 45%, you get an additional 20% from making enemies bleed. So that's why I said, even if you don't make them bleed, take away that 20%, you're still getting an additional 45% weapon damage without even making them bleed. You make them bleed, now you're up to 65. Then you add in SMG damage, etc., etc. Because you have an SMG on, you get an additional 15%. Now you see why this build is OP and it slaps. So on this particular mask I have on, I have armor rolled on there. I found a safe area to really run armor is like 1.3 or 1.5, especially in PvP. 1.3, 1.5. Now, if you're just going complete glass cannon, then yeah, you're not really trying to get into no gunfights like that. You're trying to keep your distance because you're going to be putting out a lot of damage, but you're also going to be taking a lot of damage because you don't have a lot of armor. But the safe median for PvP, PVE, depending on your play styles, 1.3 million, 1.5 million armor. I would say in PvE against those elite NPCs, depending on how fast you can get them down, I would say the same. You just got to look at it like, if I go 1.3, I'm not going to have as much armor, but I'll put out as much damage. So I got to hit my shots and I got to land them so I can take these NPCs down fast. And if you're taking them down fast with this, with the Hunter's Fury, you're going to be getting that armor back and you're going to be getting your health back. So that works out. Now, if you want to go 1.5, 1.5 is really like a safe area, I would say. Anything like 1.5, you still get some you get a lot of survivability, but you also be able to still do weapon damage, at a good rate, I would say. But of course, your base damage is going to dip because that means you are trading a core attribute of weapon damage for armor, but you'll be able to survive more. Got the holster on, pretty much the same thing. Got armor, then I got the critical hit damage. Now on my mask, I had a critical hit damage mod at 11.9% out of 12. Knee pads, armor, and then I got 10.7 as an attribute. I can get my crit hit damage higher. Look at this guy. He came over here and interrupted what we was doing. Get out here, bucko. It's your problem. Gloves. My gloves are legit. Maxed out weapon damage, 11.7. So if I wanted more armor, I would roll this weapon damage off and I'll put armor right there. But I like to be at like 1.3 because it allows me to be able to do more damage with my play style. Like I said, again, it's all play style. This is all subjective. Now your backpack, I have on a sawcloth piece with, so I'm getting that 10% weapon down. I mean, a 10% SMG damage, excuse me. My core attribute 13.3 weapon damage could be higher at 15%, but you see my critical hit damage is maxed out at 12. If I had it my way, now let me show you what I'm looking at in my stats. Right now, this build is currently sitting at 49.6% crit hit chance. I want that as close to the max of 60 as possible. And then you see my crit hit damage is 149.7%. So this build can definitely be better. I would prefer to have a 6% crit hit chance where that status effects is right now. That would definitely enhance my build, because the higher your crit hit chance is, the higher you have the potential to do a crit hit. And then your crit hits is that damage that you saw that I was at of 149,000. I'm basically at 150% crit hit damage. So I would increase my chances the more crit hit chance that I have to be able to get that crit hit damage activated. But the talent, here's the key. You want the talent Wicked. What does Wicked do? Applying a status effect increases weapon damage by 18% for 20 seconds. So we're getting 18% weapon damage from our backpack. We're getting 15% SMG damage because I'm using the SMG. We're also getting an additional 20% weapon damage because of the Apex Predator. And then if I kill an enemy and the other enemies become debuffed and disoriented around them in 5 meters, that amplifies my damage. So if I have that proc, that's an additional 25%. So we're looking at 25%, 20%, 25%, 18% extra weapon damage. How crazy is that? Now you see why I love this build so much. So yeah, I would definitely get that crit hit chance on there if I can. And as a matter of fact, I'm gonna go search my stats to see if I have anything better. That's the build. So I'm closing today's video a little bit different. Well, usually I'll give you guys some footage, but I will save that for when I do part 2 of this, when I show you guys how to build it using the firewall specialization. Today I covered the gunner specialization. And so let me know what you guys think of that video. Let me know what you think of the build. Is there anything that you would modify? You know, all this is subjective. I'm just giving you, my opinions and how it works for me. That doesn't mean it will work for everybody. I'm just giving you a base to follow for the most part. So if there's any other builds that you want to see me do, let me know. I'm loving how you guys are interacting in the comments. You're giving advice to other players. I love it. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to build a community, and I just want this thing to grow and be respectful, love each other, be in unity, to be honest, because there's so much negativity in the world, we definitely need a positive space where there can be unity, where people can respect each other, love each other, appreciate each other, share information, and we can grow together. So until the next video, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Leave a comment. Let me know anything you want to see me do. And if I can do it, I will definitely do it. If there's any questions you have, I will definitely answer them if I can. Till the next video, let's get gaming.